Greetings Ranger fans, Jake here for a deeper look at episode 12 of Power Rangers Dino Fury, Super Hotshot. But first, a rapid run through. Let's kick off the counter. It's morphin' time! Okay, so we open on the Rangers training in the park where they're joined by Warden Garcia, who nearly ate a brochure.
Ooh, pamphlet reflex.
Because Izzy wants to join Coach Bella's Hotshot gym.
Can't resist kitty meow meow eyes.
While Slither and Mucus finish their hyper hacker to intercept the Rangers' Sporix hotline.
Call 555-01722, tip off Slither and Mucus 2.
Zato joins Izzy for training at the gym where they run into Fern.
Runner girl from Winning Attitude?
And Adrian, a new friend hyped to work with Coach Bella, who arrives and gives them all applause for showing up.
Yay for positive reinforcement?
Then a quick workout montage.
Nice form, nice form, nice form.
Before Bella tells Izzy she's the Super Hotshot best athlete.
Zato literally destroyed a punching bag.
Then wraps up the freebie and tells everyone to pay up for future sessions.
And a mandatory uniform.
Everyone's pumped and buys in, but Adrian lacks the cash, so she takes his watch.
Wait, what?
They sign up, then see a crowd running from Slither, who just found his Sporix in a trash can and kicks off a fight with the Rangers, damaging Izzy's new uniform, then summoning the henchmen, leading the Rangers to morph and show off a bunch of boost keys.
Balloon, hyper, muscle, flare, balloon?
Slither retreats with the Sporix, then Izzy repairs her uniform, but at the next practice, Coach Bella forgets stretching, puts Izzy in charge, and insists she get a replacement.
Pricey.
At Buzz Blast, Jane and J-Borg advertise their new cyber coat.
Hartford product placement?
And Zato warns Izzy that he heard Bella telling Adrian and Fern that they were the best athletes too, but Izzy wants to stick with it, so they all chip in for a new uniform.
Where's Zato getting this cash?
But Izzy returns to Bella and Coach offers her a job, promising big bucks from flyer chumps, and Izzy realizes it's all about the money, so she uses her friend's money to buy back Adrian's watch and quits the gym, running into Javi on her way out and then getting a call from her dad about a new Sporix piece sighting that the Rangers totally should have heard about but totally didn't hear about, so Javi and Izzy teleport away to check it out and see that Slither has recruited a new Sporix piece.
Fogshell.
So they morph to fight Slither while Mucus and Fogshell teleport to the Hyperhacker Tower as Zato and the others are making a test call with the hotline, luring the Sporix piece out to the plaza where they find them waiting, so Mucus retreats back to the tower while Fogshell fights the Rangers and Slither also retreats to the tower just as Solon figures out where it is, leading Javi and Izzy to teleport in and summon their Dino Daggers.
Remember those?
And fling them at the tower, but Slither deflects them right as Fogshell is setting out a smoke screen to escape from the others, leading them to join Javi and Izzy at the tower where they all fling their Dino Daggers until Izzy's finally hits it.
7th time's the charm.
So Solon installs a new firewall and Izzy returns Adrian's watch and reveals that Bella's been telling everyone they're the best.
Except Zato.
And they all quit and join Izzy's all-new free trading session.
Roll credits.
And that's the end of the episode. Now, let's take a deeper look. Well, our long hiatus is finally over. Sort of. Technically, the Nickelodeon hiatus ended 3 weeks ago with the US television premiere of Cut Off, but that was released on Netflix back in June along with Phoning Home and McScary Manor, so this marks the first new episode on Nickelodeon that is actually new to American audiences. Of course, audiences in other countries, including the UK, have already finished the season at this point, and the proliferation of access through the internet means that spoilers are already flying pretty fast and furious. But I am personally trying to avoid those. So if you have seen episodes past this one, please do not comment on them until those reviews are released. My goal is to review these episodes and see how well they stand on their own within the context of what has come before, not within the context of what may be happening further down the line that we're not generally supposed to know about on an initial watch through. With the impending shift to Netflix, I have no idea what that may mean for my review schedule moving forward, but I will try to keep you all in the loop on that. So now with that out of the way, let's get into the episode itself. Super Hotshot has the oddly ironic honor of being the only episode to be explicitly advertised by Hasbro as coming soon to Netflix, while also quite possibly being the last episode ever to air on Nickelodeon before being streamed on Netflix, considering the impending drop of the rest of Season 1 on October 15th. As such, there's been a fair amount of time to build up hype and expectation, completely independent of the spoilers for what this episode may be leading up to or setting up. So, how does it hold up? Well, this once again appears to be a pretty standard episode of Power Rangers Dino Fury, albeit with a small twist. While the moral of the day and the core conflicts of the episode are both cleanly resolved by the end, there still remains the dangling plot thread of Fogshell, who only gets a single battle with the Rangers and is then promptly never heard from again. This, along with the introduction of Izzy's new training responsibilities at the end and the reintroduction of Fern from Izzy's previous focus episode, suggests that Dino Fury is building up an intentional continuity to be followed up on in the future, making this almost seem like part one of a two-parter, but not quite. Again, no spoilers, it's already tough enough to keep the ones I already know out of my head. But while I do appreciate the open-ended nature of these plot elements, it does leave the story feeling a little thin as a result. Because the monster is so very much pushed into the background of the episode, not even really being introduced until the final third, the focus really is on Izzy's story with Coach Bella and Slither's plot with the hyper hacker, which both feel a little stretched out at times. While it's absolutely in character and appreciated that Slither would have a plot that focuses more on gathering intel than on generating deliberate conflict, it does serve to somewhat lessen the stakes of their encounters. Also, the fact that things are resolved through tossing the dino daggers rather than a giant Megazord doesn't entirely help matters, especially since this is the first time we've seen the dino daggers and the first time we've been without a Zord battle since the first episode. And considering that Zato's dino dagger was the thing that originally freed the Sporix to begin with, these things don't exactly make a great first impression. I do get that the goal is to sell the dino dagger as an original toy, but it doesn't really help with the cool factor of the weapon for it to take 7 tries to take out what is functionally a souped-up landline phone. Beyond that, the repeated retreats of the villains and the lack of Void Knight's intimidating presence further takes away from the sense of threat or urgency, relegating this plot thread to really more of a background story, with the primary antagonist of the episode really being Coach Bella. And this is an interesting flip, especially considering that, in the end, she functionally gets away with everything. Seriously, her final words are, "None of you are getting your money back, not a single penny," and then she just leaves. While she does receive some comeuppance in the form of getting embarrassed and losing a class full of customers, her prioritization of money is still very clear, so the fact that she likely gets to keep all of it and continue her grift elsewhere is rather disappointing, however realistic it may be. And honestly, surprisingly realistic but narratively dissatisfying does feel like a rather apt description of this episode, as the best outcome that a typical person could reasonably expect from getting con is just for the con to end. Just as Slither's scheme to gather intel to collect Sporix is a far more reasonable plan than the more typically flashy monster attack. Come to think of it, if not for Warden Garcia's phone call, the Rangers wouldn't have even encountered Fogshell at all. And then we would have been deprived of all of his delightful seafood puns, and every one of us would have been poorer for it. Which brings me to something that I've been meaning to bring up for a while, and that's Steve McCleary's new role as ADR writer for this season, having previously written Outfoxed from Power Rangers Super Ninja Steel alongside Uther Dean. McCleary has clearly been having a ball with the puntastic voiceover dialogue all season, and I personally, as a fan of the original Teenagers with Attitude, am absolutely here for all that cheesy glory. But I'm literally made of muscle. That is perfect. That is golden. No notes. But perhaps the biggest compliment and biggest criticism I have of this episode is rooted in the depressing realism of how Coach Bella is portrayed and how the other characters interact with her. One of the most frustrating things about con artists is that they don't need to be clever to be effective manipulators, and many people out there will fall for empty flattery, empty promises, and empty marketing hype, with confident bravado brushing away any concerns over what should be obvious red flags. And Coach Bella has a lot of red flags. So many times you just want to yell at the screen, "Do not trust this woman!" But of course they do, because Izzy starts off the episode being so emotionally invested in the idea of this person that she convinces both her father and her friend to financially invest in her big promises of success. And once someone has reached that point, it becomes very difficult for them to change their minds. This is why, even after seeing Bella pressure Adrian into giving her his grandfather's watch, Izzy and Zato are still seen wearing Hotshot uniforms in the very next shot. As much as we want to believe that our heroes would call out bad behavior the moment they see it, that's not usually how things play out in real life, especially when dealing with powerful people with a lot of perceived success. Which makes me wonder how deliberate it was that Coach Bella just so happened to be a big talking blonde person in a baseball cap. Just putting that out there. Of course, Bella's downfall is in assuming that everyone else is just as corrupt as she is, not even bothering to hide her intentions when offering Izzy a job working with her, or even acknowledging that her actions were the least bit underhanded. However, while I do think there is value in demonstrating the world as it really is, rather than always showing exceptionally principled people taking a stand at the outset, I also feel like there should be some acknowledgement of Izzy's complicity in her own self-deception, rather than simply putting all of the responsibility onto the shady Coach Bella. There's definitely a lot of nuanced and interesting ideas presented in this episode, and I think they deserve a bit more of a nuanced lesson than just, sometimes bad people are bad, because I feel like that lesson is one that's already pretty well covered. So make sure to join me next time for a deeper look at episode 13 of Power Rangers Dino Fury, The Matchmaker. And if you would like to share this week's rapid run-through, you can find it as a standalone clip over at Morphin Legacy's YouTube channel. Please like, share, subscribe to us both, ring the bell for future notifications, and, until next time, farewell Ranger fans, and let the power protect you.